That brings us to News or Snooze, presented by Christopher William Jewelers. Bennett will give me 3 quotes. I'll say if they're newsworthy or snoozeworthy. Let's go.
Okay, this is we'll lead with a banger here from Virginia State Senator Louise Lucas. This is a tweet. So she asks Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, since you are new, ask around about the legislative help Virginia has had to give your organization over the years. I've been in the Senate for 32 years and can think of a number of issues you have all needed help on. Virginia will go to war on this. That's referring to JMU's postseason eligibility.
So I have so many thoughts. And I don't know if it's newsworthy or snoozeworthy. I'll say newsworthy because it's in the news and it's going to be in the news. It's going to be in the news cycle for weeks to come. But it just feels like a sad grab at a popularity ahead of elections. And also to say like you're going to war with what's happening around the world right now just seems really bad. Like everything about that, I don't approve.
Just a kind of a weird tweet out of nowhere. That's just like, I don't know what that means exactly, how they've helped the NCAA and Virginia over the last 32
it's so fucking, excuse my French there. It's so weird.
But it's all incredibly odd. Yeah, I'm with you. It's weird. And it's one that I was excited to move past the bowl stuff because JMU.
I was so excited.
It's also one where I think if you're a politician or whatever, at this point, you got to be like, okay, we're suing the NCAA. Like, you got to come with some action now, right? Some other people have already beaten you to the punch in terms of like wanting to get some popularity out of the bowl thing. So you got to come with a little action or at least a fake action item. Bring something to the table, right? Well, it's like showing up to a party, bring a little food. It's a potluck here. You're just showing up with the same thing. Like if the guy before brought brownies and you're bringing brownies.
Well, she's doing less than what the guy before that showed up before. The guy before,
no letter.
He wrote a letter. She's just saying we're going to war. She just added Charlie. You're new here. That's also like a little bit of a bully. It feels like they're picking on the new kid. I know we don't like Charlie Baker, but like, let's not pick on the new kid.
What does that mean? If he
also
bowl eligibility, you're going to help him out in the future with what?
We talked about this off air. What are you suing for? That they're upholding their rules?
I don't know what the lawsuit is. Everyone's like antitrust. I don't know what. Sure. Show me the lawsuit and then we'll see if it's nonsense. Or threaten one. Give me a real one. You know what I mean? Not like a sternly written letter.
No, not a sternly written letter because that's already been thrown out. The NCAA said no.
It was like, thanks for your letter.
This is a sternly written tweet. That are we sure she wrote?
Probably the social team.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine being the intern that was like, "Hey, your thing today, you gotta craft a 2-tweet thread where at the end of it you threaten war."
Just so weird. It's like, well, then the other part that would be the funniest is if they do this whole stink and like JMU goes 12-0 and they like the NCAA changes their mind and like Air Force is ranked 2 spots ahead of them.
No, the funniest thing would be if the NCAA changes course like going into the App State weekend and they lose.
That would be really funny. Some of this stuff is absolutely cracking me up with all of it. And I guess while we're here, I'll do it too. The game day outrage was too much. It was too much. People were like, how could game day pick a matchup between college football playoff contenders in the Pac-12 over 4-3 ODU that nearly lost to Texas A&M Commerce and JMU, which can't go to a bowl game? What? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, honestly, ESPN probably knew the rule before we did, and that's why it didn't come to JMU. This also reasons. That ruling too takes the App State game off the table. It takes the JMU Georgia State game off the table that I saw Georgia State beat writer float.
Shut up again.
What, we're gonna have all of 3 people in attendance for game day that morning?
I too, as a major media network, when I can pass up an Alabama home game against LSU or Bedlam for the last time it's ever in the Big 12, I would love to go to Georgia State, which can't fill its stadium on a normal Saturday.
Just absolutely insane. I don't agree with the game day outrage.
Everybody's got to just chill about everything. The bowl games, I'm
also kind of like a crotchety old man when it comes to game day at this point. Because I'm like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
standing outside for 8 hours to cheer when they tell you to cheer, and it's not very fun. Granted, I did tell Eva that, and she was like, yeah, but what about the students? It's a really great opportunity and like a fun experience. And I was like, well, yeah. Now I feel like a crotchety old man like that's yelling, get off my lawn.
It's
But it
cool.
is a great.
It's cool when it comes. You just can't get mad when they pick like a clearly better football game.
And
That's
storyline.
yeah. It's like Utah, like they're competing in the last year of the Pac-12. One of those teams, the winner of that game, is in a good spot to like hang around for college football playoff contention.
John, so am I. So am I. We will be filling there. The two of us there, and also
You're
Dom
going to this one?
Palumbo. I'm going to this one.
That's hilarious.
The three of us JMU fans will outnumber Georgia State 3-1.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll get game day. It'll just be a JMU game day.
All right, back to news.
All right, back to news. Curt Cignetti. We've got one Curt Cignetti quote here. This is after the Marshall game. He's talking about a situation after after a punt. No, after the Francis Meehan interception. He goes,
also Francis Meehan, one of the better. Like he needs more. He has 2 picks this year.
3, I think.
3 picks. That's triple the amount of any other safety.
That's right.
Actually, technically, that's wrong because all the other safeties have 0. So technically, triple of 0 would be 0.
Some people are saying he caught more passes in the defensive backfield than Surratt at punt returner. Okay. Curt Cignetti said, he said, we're on the one again. And that's when Jordan really had some good information about how we should attack them, which I concurred with and agreed. Like he did it. And that's when it became the Jordan and Reggie show for a while. The hell is he talking about?
One, I love that he has the trust in like McLeod bringing him some information. What I think, this is newsworthy, but what I think happened is like he figured out like, you watch film all week and Marshall like doesn't change its hand signal week from week. And McLeod was probably seeing him check when they were showing a certain run fit, check defensively to cover the holes. And that might be why Black and Lawton weren't getting a lot of rushing yards. But when he noticed that check on defense, he probably checked to something on offense and was like, Reggie, run. They can't guard you one-on-one on the outside. I'm just going to throw it up to you. And that's probably what happened. And then probably there was a drive where Cignetti called something to see what would happen and probably confirmed it. Hilarious use of words, though, as in the middle of all of this, a Michigan entire cheating controversy is unraveling about stealing signals. And Cignetti, right after this all gets announced, goes on and goes, you got some information.
Yeah.
Which I concurred and agreed with. And then we started playing football. I don't know. I mean, we got some information. That's all I'm going to say. Did we send a scout out 4 days before to watch Marshall's hand signals? I'm not saying no. No, he did not do that. I should not. Not in today's day and age, but hilarious.
I also love where he's like, I concurred and agreed with, which almost implies that like McLeod had come over earlier in the season, and be like, Coach, they're doing this. He's like, oh, really interesting. And then he like turns to Mike Shanahan. And he's like, no. Like, we don't listen to any of that. Like this time, he's like, I agreed with it. Yeah, sure. But agree with it. All right, last one. This is from ESPN's Matt Berry during the broadcast.
This was hilarious.
And we're going to talk about what's best for the student athlete. Well, these guys who have worked their butts off all season to get to 7-0, you know what's best for that student athlete? Honor them with a trip to the postseason. Pretty fired up.
I like that whole clip of it. Like he was getting really worked up. I think it's newsworthy. I also think it's kind of newsworthy. And Dom jumped down my throat when I presented this. I think it's newsworthy that like an ESPN anchor and play-by-play commentator is saying this. Like this is a thing, a large media company that pays a lot of money to have rights to the NCAA. I know it's all conference by conference, but like you don't want to be in the bad graces of the NCAA. And ESPN has been very outspoken, specifically Matt Berry in this instance, but a lot of their written pieces too have been very outspoken in saying kind of this is stupid. And so I think it's newsworthy. I think it's very interesting that these large media companies that have to be nice to the NCAA are putting their feet to the fire and then saying, hey, what you're doing about this quote unquote student athlete experience is stupid because you don't actually live up to the mission statement that you say you do. This is not about the student athletes at this point. This is you just upholding a rule. How easy would it be for you just to say, this is a stupid rule. Let's amend it and we'll start now with JMU. Instead, you're holding true to your guns and impacting the lives of all of the JMU football players, all of the Jacksonville State football players. Sam Houston's 0-7, but say they were 7-0. You're negatively impacting all of their like they worked 18 years to get to this point, to get a scholarship offer, to play at the Division I level, and they did it. And then their team switched to the FBS, forcing it where they could, out of their control, couldn't play in the postseason. It's the same crap that the CAA did, impacting all of those players. And now the NCAA is doing it to them. And frankly, it's bullshit.
It's also confusing. Why would like moving from the FCS to the FBS be different than like Oklahoma and Texas going
to the Big 12,
to the SEC? Like it doesn't make a lot of sense that like none of those moves are punished even a little bit. They're actually rewarded.
And it's also more, it's also more advantageous, I'd argue, to go from the Big 12 to the SEC in terms of the media deals that are different.
It is,
going from the CAA to the Sun Belt.
Yeah, it's one where it's like it made a lot of sense for JMU. They have like more fan interest, regional rivalries. They were clearly ready to make the move. That's what doesn't make a lot of sense, is why have a waiver process if like
you're not.
I mean, they can't be any more ready to move. It was very clear they're ready to do it, and they've shown that on the field, and to completely deny it is pretty wild.
Yeah. All right. That was news or snooze. I got a little heated on that last one.
That's great.